This is Dale with Tidy Beautiful Bin. This is Dan Swede with Hydrosense System. We're going to start off some training right now with them. Typically, come back to the front. This is a dual bin hydraulic lifter. They do auto compensate, so one is a smaller bin and the other one's large. It'll kind of roll down and then adjust accordingly. So you can do variable size bins on that. So that's an issue. That was our adjustment bin. Not a great example. Large one that's right here originally. Whenever you close your bin or load the bins up initially, you want to have the lid closed because on the small one you can't finish the lid. Now we'll adjust accordingly by the pressure so that you're good. When you're ready to kind of get going, you'll want to make sure your bins are open here. Clean head, pretty much sealed. They don't need any, grease and any kind of maintenance. They're actually about 15 pounds each. They are like a Swiss watch inside. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, they don't free spin, so they're almost like a water propelled motor that runs and rotates. It actually, the base will rotate, and then the spray nozzle will rotate, but it's all gear driven, so everything is mechanical. So we control every inch of the can being clean. Normal cleaning cycle is 30 seconds on most really filthy cans. To be able to 8 or 10 seconds on maintenance cans. Cans that you've already cleaned once, you go back for it, that's where you end up having the additional speed on that to extend your run time. Typically what I'm going to do is we're just going to leave it up now. We want to cover the head before we start it. You have a speed control. Up and down. It can be adjusted slightly, You have a wash band and one recording on there.
If you have it adjusted too fast, it'll bounce. It starts bouncing.
Yep. Okay, so typically we're loaded. That's where we want to be initially. We'll get started. The other thing you want to do right off the bat on the control valve assembly here, you want to make sure your bypass valve is open before you start the engine. What this is doing is anytime on a pressure washer, you normally have to release the trigger on the gun. Try to, if you're pull starting it, it's like you need to have a third hand just to hold the power washer from bouncing around. So in this case here, we're trying to protect and save the starter, etc. So the valve will be open. Now this allows the high pressure water from the power washer, which can be hot water, so you got to be aware of that, to bypass back to the supply tank. Okay. So the only time you really have this open, there's two times. One is when starting the engine, and after you shut the burner off to cool down the engine, or cool down the burner, then you can open it up if you want to release it that way. Okay. Other than that, this has got to be in the shut-off position 100% of the time while during the day, during operation. I've had people mistaken misunderstand that, and they left the bypass on from house to house to house in 110-degree weather, which allows superheated water to go back to the supply tank, which could crack the water tank, and could overheat melt the valves and packings in the pump, and it can also go above and beyond and do more damage. So strictly, it's a must-have for us to start it, because now you can contain, you can have both heads off, the high pressure hose off, and you can still start the engine. Otherwise, you have to have the gun open and sprayed, which could be in a community. So it does make it, but like I said, it's had its little, flaws in it when it comes to, if we have what we call a cold bypass, which is already bypassed water that's going from the pump back to the supply tank that's already built into the system. The important part of that is it's actually built in before the heater. So you're never letting hot water go back to the tank. So that's what we call, in our case, like a cold bypass system. And that's allowing you to go from house to house to house. I mean, you could go for an extended period of time, but we still recommend the golden rule about 3 to 4 minutes max between homes. So if you're going to drive across town to another community, shut the machine.
Shut the machine off.
Yeah, keep it simple, So bottom line, I'm going to go ahead and reopen up that valve so we know that that's open. And when we go to do our pre-check on the pressure washer, we have the engine dipstick right here. Okay. So we want to definitely pull that out. Check your engine oil. I know it's been sitting, but it's still a little hard to read. That one. Now the important part here to know is there's only 2 quarts of oil in the engine. Okay. Not 8 quarts, 6 quarts. So when you're down, you're down.
Yeah.
So, just right to the top of the dipstick, that's easy enough to know. When and if you need to add oil, the cap is right here.
Okay.
Being an air-cooled engine, this can operate at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Not like a water-cooled engine that could be 200, 220 under a pressurized system. That's where we recommend normally a 50-hour oil change. Manufacturer said 100 hours, but say it's Wednesday and you hit 50, you still have time to get through your week if you plan to do it on Saturday or Sunday when you're down.
Okay.
But, you can get a lot of distance in 50 to 100 hours, so that's where we're running, especially with the 2 quarts. We do recommend a synthetic oil upgrade on that.
Sure.
Because it's not so much oil, you can do it. Now there's an oil filter that's actually,
I was just going to say, it has a pressurized system, it's just not water cooled, so it's air cooled.
right, it's air cooled. So you do have the pressure fed system. So that oil filter, some clients choose, depends on the cost of their oil filter, to do oil changes every 50 hours, oil and filter every 100. So if you got to 300 hours, you do oil and oil filter, 350 oil only. But you could choose to do whichever you want. This is an extreme money-making machine, so pamper it.
Got to take care of it.
I've seen clients average over 4,000 hours of runtime on that engine. It's almost like getting 300,000 miles out of a gas-powered truck engine. It's kind of unheard of normally.
Right.
Here, it's kind of the average if treated right. You do have another, you have a drain hose on here too, with a valve assembly. So you're actually able to...
So that makes it a lot faster.
Oh yeah. Clean, easy. Just put a little pan here, be done with it. Now on the pump oil, you also have that too. So you have a drain on the pump oil. You have a sight glass, so it's easy to read. On level ground, red dot is where your level is. There is also a dipstick, and it is also a vented cap. So just to make sure you don't put a plug in there, you want a vented cap. It's not to blow the oil through the oil seals, etc.
What's the oil change time on that pump? Do you guys
they normally average about 300 hours. So you can do it by the hour, depending on maybe on a quarterly schedule. It just depends on how much running time you're doing. If you're putting a lot of hours on it every day, you could always bump it up a little bit more.
Does it have an hour meter?
Yes.
Okay.
Right up here.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that just makes it simple. Just
So
that process to just continue to check that. Right?
Now the other aspects are, it is a gas-powered engine. You do have 2 spark plugs. Pretty easy maintenance on those. You have an air filter. oil filter and a fuel filter. Those are just simple maintenance items. We tend to actually recommend that you establish something with, we got to get another bungee for that, or two if you can. If we can get I recommend having a local, go to a local Vanguard service center.
Sure.
If you're gonna buy air filters, spark plugs like day one, my biggest suggestion to you right off the bat is make sure they put the company name, address, information, set up your account. Because if you did need something out of the blue, you don't want to be a new customer that's never been there. You can tell them when they're blue in the face, but as long as you're an existing account,
Right.
they tend to bump you in quicker than
Right.
if you're just,
Yeah.
you know, demanding, hey, I want my truck back, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why we don't overemphasize telling you spark plugs and air filters and oil filters. We want that, you to establish that initial relationship with it. And if you go, what's the nicest part, period, right now is, let me find it. If you have a QR scanner on your phone, there's actually, you see it's just QR scanner. You have this here.
Okay.
Now what's amazing with their website right now, if you actually have in-field support, so you have your basic troubleshooting, advanced troubleshooting, and frequently asked questions. You have all your operating manuals in multiple language available, if it decides to open up here. And then you have your dealer locator. So if you're a little out of town or different area, pop your zip code in. Always try to find your like Diamond Dealer or whichever it's called, the warranty facility, not
Sure,
just a
that's what I was
service
just gonna
facility.
ask. So all of this would go through Vanguard, through the local dealer.
Local
who's-
dealer, local service,
Yep.
3-year warranty.
Okay.
Okay, so that'll always give you something on spot, even if you're out of the area. So
Sure.
that's great. It has your actual serial number, model number, type, everything is in there now. So the minute you do that, it's your engine on there. So I definitely get that into it. Now, once again, it was air cooled. You want to keep everything as much airflow, so you tend to want to have the door open. There is a lock pin here. It should allow you to kind of hold it open. You
So
just
the
have to
door
have
can be
the
open
hose
so it
up.
can get all the air it needs. Okay.
Yeah, it's still gapped enough, but it's always good to have the air flow available. You have an onboard generator. Get to the 2,900 watt onboard brushless generator, real good industrial generator. On here, the main reason for the generator is we're actually powering the 115 volt diesel fired burner.
Okay, so that's electric. I see that.
Electric, instead of 12 volt, it's
Yep.
a diesel fired 115 volt one. It's a high efficiency. One thing that's a little bit of a freak on this is the fact that it burns an average of about 1.5 gallons of diesel an hour, when other brands commonly burn 3.5 to 5.5 gallons of diesel an hour. It could add up to about $1,000 a month savings because we made the heavy investment, almost $1,000 upgrade on the burner to achieve that. And the other benefit is you get heated super quick. You'll see here where the water temperature, you know, on the hot water unit is cold. We'll fire it up and you'll see steam coming out of the cleaning heads within a minute. I mean, just astronomical considering that's almost 2 5-gallon buckets full of water, heated instantaneously. You do have an exhaust pipe here. Just be careful when you're walking in front of this. Just
Right.
take
I was
on-
gonna say that would mean you'd want to have some ventilation for that too. We know it could go out the top and stuff.
Yeah, that's another reason for the doors to be open while running. Let's see here. Now the generator itself also powers the transfer pump for the hydroclear filtration system. And it also handles the vacuum recovery system. So there's a vacuum recovery system on here that can pick up your wastewater from up to 100 feet away from the truck. And that's also powered by that.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing commercial cleaning, don't need recovery, you don't need that vacuum recycling system, you can just shut that off. The same we'll go through later on the hydroclear filtration system. You do have another switch right here. So if you go on, you know you only got like 40 bins or something that, on Wednesday or something like that. If you feel that the 270 gallon supply tank and 270 gallon recovery tank is enough, you don't have to run it through the hydroclear filter. You don't necessarily have to do that. We do have it engineered into it where you could use it to recycle the water in only one tank to be recycled. And we prefer to do it after you're doing maintenance cans. If you're doing starter cans that are just caked on, baked on, nasty, debris filled, or if you're going to a waste company and they have like bins that their wash by it doesn't even want to touch, they just throw it all to you. At that stage, the best bet is to just dump your wastewater. Normally you can do that in their wash bay where they're already washing the bin. Same with municipalities. Just common sense. If you just know you're getting a massive amount of heavy load. We had other issues where you have a sandy environment, a lot of dirt, sand, and they're, just kind of keep in control when you do recycle, and when you don't. It'll extend your filters and everything else that way too. All right, so typically, we do have a 270 gallon supply tank and 270 gallon recovery tank on here.
So that's what I was curious. Okay, so that's the supply, that's the recovery.
And they can also be joined together
And just fill it
as one supply tank. Say you were gonna do Walmart stores this weekend or something, or tonight, you can go out there and you can actually fill both of these tanks with water. We need to fill these up. Is it? Oh, why did it look like a shadow from the bottom?
Yeah, the other side's full.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. I was looking at the support strut and I'm thinking, okay, I did miss that.
I thought the same thing earlier. I tried to fill it with article.
So as far as the rest of the machine, any mechanical parts on that, we would go to the manufacturer for any of that too, for the burner, for all of those parts?
We would recommend you coming through us. There's some customization on here.
Okay.
But typically, if you need it, if there's other resources, we're not afraid to make sure you just get up and running if you have a local service center. We do use like a heavy duty decking burner assembly. We have different components on there. Yeah, we want to keep you up and running. We're not going to get crazy on that. Matter of fact, we do have a spare parts list and breakdown that can put together.
Yeah, that's what you
on all
said.
that. So you'll be able to have that. We also have to exclude a few of the equipment, the machine, if you need to try to locate a warranty service center for the other components that are in your area. Kind of just work with whatever we need to work with to make sure you're functional. I used to be an ex-fleet mechanic and I understand downtime. And then it's more important than to get covered.
So this is just curious, is anybody ever, or is it possible to take that exhaust and run it so it goes up? Does that make any difference?
It can. Yes, I guess it could actually,
Yeah, because then you have.
it's a little close to the cross member up there, but it could be put up.
I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
We do run a 12-volt deep cycle, 1000 cc, full cranking amp battery we're going to install on here. Should there be a one. Hate that everything here. The other thing that's nice is on the pumps themselves. You notice the pump rail, on most power washes, the pumps are sitting on a flat bed, they're slotted holes, they're packed to move side to side, real hard to align the belt. We're normally two people to do it, or double pry bars, and then you gotta find a way to fix it. What's nice is they're shredded over this box frame, stainless steel frame, loosen these two nuts, got a guide over in the front and back, where we pull it, which makes it real nice. It also extends your belt light because your belts are pretty centered and squared on there. Okay. All right, now in the panel here, you do have plugs here. These are actually lighted so you'll know when they're energized. So if you have an issue and say, hey, my back motor isn't running, you take a look, everything's up and running. If this is lit, then you know you got voltage going through it.
Yeah, we just that right now.
And then we also have another plug behind it for the transfer. So one is for the vacuum, one for the transfer. Then your generator does have a single belt on it, so there's the belt guard there, and you got a belt guard here, triple belts here. It's all in your manual and information, and the spare parts kit list is on there. You can buy those locally, obviously. Or we can provide them if you guys want to. It really depends on us. We use all the super heavy duty low pressure line, even the ones that had the steel wire braid around there. If you were to step on them, they would crush and flatten out, and you can get them unflat. So we went to a really more industrial grade suction line. Right. You can see they are laying on some parts of the deck and all. We do have a built-in winterizing tank, so we'll go through winterizing the unit with you at the end.
I only do this so that when I update the spare parts catalog, just in case something changed in your engine, I'm not telling you to order the wrong parts.
Okay. Well, the good part too is you probably want to put his information on that sheet.
Yep, and your model, your serial will be right on there for you.
Okay. Good deal. You got an 18-gallon diesel tank that's white. The one I hate the most is the fact that it went to a black gas tank instead of red. So you just got to remember your gasoline tank is black on the back here. So you got 18-gallon gas, 18-gallon diesel. Your fill is on the other side of the truck where you do have access, where you can get up and, if you're fueling, you can come in through this way if you need to. Okay. On the back, other side of the truck to fuel fill. And we didn't put steps on that because we didn't want these sticking out into the.
Yeah, you'd be really taking up some space if that was something.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we would just kind of keep it simple. This is nice. It still should clear curb height and everything else. And yeah, that was just a afterthought once we saw the truck height with these new F550s are pretty tall. I like the truck. I like them. Yeah, the truck's sweet. Very sweet. And
also, just as a warning, if you use the QR code, the serial number is actually printed on the sticker, but if you use the QR code, it doesn't save the serial number.
it doesn't have to know?
Well, it's on the sticker, but when it scans it, it doesn't.
It doesn't pull that far.
Yes.
Just take a picture, okay.
Yeah, so I actually attached the picture there.
The other thing is this is simply a garden hose reel, so you just connect this to your spigot on your house or warehouse or the facility you're working at. Okay. It'll autofill, it has the Hudson valve float, so it'll shut down, so if you're gonna do it in the morning, have some coffee or whatever, do some work, you don't have to run, oh crap, come back to a flooded warehouse, it all will shut down. So it's gonna be about that much below the top of the tank, so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Now the other thing we found out is if you were to blow air out through here, to blow the water out so you can winterize it, you want to make sure the tank is slightly below the Hudson valve. If not, it'll just get trapped pressure in here and water won't blow through. So you just want to make sure that, when you winterize, and most of the time when you're winterizing, you're going to have empty tanks anyway. So that's one of the rules we figured out. So you do have a drag brake on these, so if you're rolling them out, you do have a little bit of a lever here.
So you can slow it down, okay?
Yep, so you can slow it down, or if you got it all stretched out, say it's coming out too quick, you can just lock the latch down.
You said that's 100 feet on the reel?
100 foot of inlet hose, 200 foot on the high pressure. Yep. So you can do most dumpster, compactor, larger projects. If you figure you park in front of a Walmart, you can do 400 foot length, by being centered on there. And you can add extensions to this also, so if you needed some more length of hose, say you're doing a wood dock or something on someone's back property and all. We've been able to have guys work up to 400 feet away from the truck on pressure. Now the vacuum recycling is good up to 100 feet away. So at that point you are going to be slightly limited on there. A lot of times if you're blocking off the storm drain, say in a parking lot while you're doing, say, shopping carts at Walmart, a lot of times you can park within the 100 feet of the storm drain and still run your hose to the carts and clean your carts as needed. And this will operate two guns at the same time. It's already adjustable for a dual operator. Okay. If you had your rear reel and this reel, say you're doing a bunch of chewing gum off of 7-Eleven or something storefront, you could have both guys working and have 4.5 gallons coming out of each gun at 3,500 PSI and be able to compensate. When one guy shuts the gun off, it doesn't spike the other one. It's a flow compensating type of motor. Nice. So it does give you the flexibility. Now if you want to, while you're still there, you just switch to a 48-inch surface cleaner to clean with. It'll automatically jump back up to 9 gallons a minute without you having to go back to the machine. So I know you guys are primarily going to do the commercial cleaning. Right. And this was a freebie, by the way. I shouldn't say that on camera, but traditionally your package didn't include these. I threw these in also for you. Okay. Just to make sure you had the capability if you need it. Okay. And awesome. That was on there. Yeah. So that was not on any order. Okay. Now the other identifying stuff here, we can walk to the other side. They'll fire it up in a minute, make sure you get all the excitement. I just want to introduce all the components and then we can go over all of them. Welcome around.
So I have one question on the heads, the cleaning heads.
Yeah.
If there's an issue with that.
Gotta come here.
Huh?
Gotta come here.
Is that what you guys make them?
Yeah, they are customized. Yep, for us. They are proprietary on that part. Now, what we'll do on that is we have a program where if you need it, you can next day air it to us. We'll rebuild it pretty quickly. Okay. If you need a loaner head,
so you guys can
send your loaner head.
Take care of that.
Oh yeah. That's a nice part of having a dual bend system too. Each one operates one or the other. You know, you normally will clean one head cleaning at the full 9 gallon at 3,500, then the next. If for some reason you need a service, you still have another head that you could be running and working. Yep. But a lot of times the issues have been where people have left the hot water and bypass, where that bypass, it kind of superheated the water because now you got 180-degree water being heated again through a burner, which could get above and beyond. Because those heads are normally rated at 240 degrees. If there was a little bit of an issue, we might blow some O-ring. Not a joke, we have never ever needed to replace a cleaning head yet. Okay. So it's been, knock on wood, we should, but it's been good because honestly, we overkill. Those are 15-pound cleaning heads. They're not the light duty little 3-jet, little mini ones. They're the ones that are designed almost to fail. We really run the best of the best on these. Here, this is your first stage of your filtration system. Technically the hopper is the first stage. We have 1,000 micron basket filter.
I see that, yeah.
Solid separation tank, and we also had a hydrocarbon absorber pillow in there for oils, etc. So you already get 3-stage filtration before we get out of the hopper to the recycling component here. Okay. This is your vacuum line coming off. We're actually vacuuming up the wastewater from the hopper into the recycling unit itself. On the top of the recycler is another 1,000 micron filter basket. You have a cone-shaped tank, which is another solid separation tank, just like there's a solid separation tank here. Right now, you have at least 4 inches of sand and sludge before it'll actually go into the recycling unit, so that acts as a separation tank here. And then here you've got the second separation tank, which you have a drain, you can drain off right here. Any kind of sludge and sand and debris. That is an important valve right there to be able to control that and clean it. You have a transfer pump in here that's actually a 12-volt transfer pump. That transfer pump basically is sucking water from, can't see it from here, but it's approximately that high in the tank on the backside. So all that below it is the sand and the debris that you caught in there. It's going to be drawing the water through a check valve into the transfer pump. So the transfer pump is going to go up through the 50 micron filter, to a 20 micron filter, back to the supply tank, the recovery tank, I'm sorry, where there's a 5 micron filter on that. It's a large bag filter. And then it will go into that tank which acts as the third separation tank. From that point, that's your basic. That's if we stopped at our Platinum Series Wheelie bin truck and trailer, that would have been the set the depth filtration system. We actually put all these on every trash bin or wheelie bin cleaner we provide. We don't use the rear hopper or the waste tank. One thing about that, it throws the weight of the truck and trailer off to the point where beyond unsafe on the road.
Sure.
Squirrely, you can imagine there's a couple of pounds of weight in the back and up in here.
Yeah.
And the transfer supply water in the back. People that, you know, you wonder how they're in business producing stuff like that. Typically, we even go with an all quarter-inch aluminum hopper to even lighten it up on the backside. So we're taking that wastewater through the system, through here, going to discharge here. Now you got a garden hose fitting here, Sherman fitting. So if you need to, you can take that discharge hose and run that into a wash bay, like working for a municipality or waste company, because they might be okay with you being down to 20 micron. You know what I mean? So that is an option. Also, if you're doing irrigation discharge, this is also a way, if it's approved, to be able to discharge your wastewater with irrigation water. Say you're doing a storefront or parking garage, or just depending on your area. It is all very variable. One thing you don't want to do is storm room, unless you get a permit and you get approved for it. But just by all means, you can, as long as you pump to the, you know, you get your permit, I'll give you the information on where to get all those discharge stuff and everything. So there's no real rule of thumb. There's not a national rule. It's all localized. So they may be insane and tell you to dump all your wastewater no matter what you're cleaning, you know, or they could tell you to be a little bit more flexible. So really, you know, that's something we can assist you with, but we can't determine what they're going to
Sure.
do.
Just do the research.
Yeah. So typically you do have two switches on there, one for the transfer pump, one for the vacuum recovery, the vacuum motor. You have a pressure gauge here. When these start to clog, you'll know because the pressure gauge will go up. It should be near zero. When it's transferring, the only time that's going to happen is when the tank is full enough, about 3/4 full, there's two float valves in the tank. The bottom float valve, which is black, basically will kick on the transfer pump once the tank is full enough for the transfer pump to start to kick in. This pump is going through the filters. It doesn't run continuously. It just runs from that 3/4 point down. There's another vacuum float. We can get up there and see that later. That is white. That's a 115 volt float. And that's designed to shut the vac motor off in case you forgot the transfer pump or say your filters were clogged and you couldn't pump when you pop the breaker. So you do have two safety float switches that you will need to know when it comes to that, especially when winterizing. You want to kick on the transfer pump without having a full tank of winterizer to flush out the system. We'll get into that when we do this, so you know that's kind of like the everything involved with this system here. Now,